It's a Thursday. Good evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, together with the Presidential Communications Office.
We bring you the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news coverage from the People's Television, IBC, Philippine News Agency, Philippine Information Agency, and Presidential Broadcast Service. I'm Princess Habiba Saripolda.
And I'm Joe Fernandez. We are from Radyo Pilipinas. Welcome to Balitang Pambansa. Tonight's headlines. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. says that he will read the substitute bill on the controversial SB 1979 or the Prevention of Adolescent Pregnancy Act of 2023. 17 Filipino seafarers who were held hostage by Houthi rebels have been freed and are set to return to the country at the soonest possible time. Despite all the recent developments, some groups still believe that the relationship of the two countries remains strong. Strong earthquakes rocked various parts of the Visayas and Mindanao earlier today. An encounter erupted between government troops and an armed group believed to be members of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front in Basilan. Authorities arrest a suspect reportedly involved in a scheme known as Rentangay. The first or original version did not pass the presidential smell test. So a rewrite was in order that perhaps could sway the president if he likes what he reads. Our Daniel Manalastas on the short and sweet of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s take on Senate Bill 1979 after his first read.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will read first the substitute bill on Senate Bill 1979, or the Prevention of Adolescent Pregnancy Act of 2023. This was his response to the question on whether his view has changed with the removal of certain provisions in the substitute bill. Senator Risa Hontiveros filed a substitute bill to amend the original and controversial version, particularly provision in Section 6 of the bill, where it says the Comprehensive Sexuality Education, or the CSE, shall be standardized and implemented in all public and private basic education institutions and shall be integrated in the school curriculum under the guidance of DepEd and international standards. Under the substitute bill, Hontiveros removed the international standards provision.
And in the end, anyway, kung international standards ay isa lamang sa mga gabay, in the end, the buck stops sa ating konstitusyon ng Pilipinas. Kaya importanteng pagbabago rin yan sa ating substitute bill na ang comprehensive sexuality education ay bibigyan lamang sa mga adolescents mula 10 years old hanggang or pataas.
Hontiveros also addressed the criticisms of some of her fellow senators.
Ang point ko lang, nakakabudol kasi yung title. Nakakabudol yung title ng bill, Preventing Teenage Pregnancy. Meron pa bang grupo ng tao dito sa mundo na ayaw itong titulo na ito, i-prevent natin yung teenage pregnancy. Pero pag binasa mo yung buong bill, di ba? And sabi nga nila, the devil is in the details.
The devil is also in accurate representation ng trabaho ng mga colleagues. Ang totoong pambubudol ay yung ginawa ng mga nag-fake news laban sa bill. Ang totoong pangbubudol ay yung mga nagkalat ng disinformation at nanakot sa ating sambayanan.
Question is, with the withdrawal of some senators who signed the committee report, could the bill be reinstated in the committee level knowing it cannot muster enough votes to make it pass the plenary? The Senate President has this response.
Depende kung ilan. Depende kung ilan at kung majority na base sa komite. At kailangan din suriin dahil minsan may mga joint committee. Yes, kung substitute bill. Pero hindi ko pa na kasi nababasa yung letters of withdrawal at kung ilan eh.
From PTV Manila, Daniel Manalastas, Balitang Pambansa.
There's no easy way negotiating with terrorist groups. Yet somehow, some way, the Philippine government led by the president managed to keep the 17 Filipino seafarers abducted at sea by the Houthi rebels in November 2023 safe and sound until their release less than 48 hours ago. The 17 seafarers are on their way back home thanks in large part to the intercession of the Sultan of Oman, as we hear the full report from our Kenneth Pasyente.
After more than a year, 17 Filipino seafarers have finally been freed after being abducted by Houthi rebels in November 2023. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. announced this development through a statement on his social media accounts. He said that the Filipino seafarers are now under the care of the Philippine Embassy in Muscat, Oman, and are expected to be reunited with their families in the Philippines soon. The president also expressed gratitude to the government of Oman and its Sultan for their efforts to make this development possible. He also commended the efforts of Philippine government agencies and private sectors that worked with foreign governments non-stop for 429 days to achieve this outcome. In November 2023, Houthi rebels hijacked the MV Galaxy Leader while on its way to India, taking 25 crew members hostage, including 17 Filipinos. Since the incident, President Marcos Jr. has closely monitored the hostages situation and ensured their safety. He even canceled his attendance at the Climate Change Convention in Dubai in November of 2023 to focus on this matter. Meanwhile, President Marcos Jr. also emphasized the importance of the Magna Carta of Filipino seafarers. And these just released seafarers are living examples of the very reason for the recently signed law. He pointed out this law ensures the rights and welfare of Filipino seafarers, including equal employment opportunities and access to education and training in accordance with international standards. From PTV Manila, Kenneth Pasyente, Balitang Pambansa.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. recognized the contribution of the Asian Development Bank, or ADB, on the growth of the economy. During the farewell call of the outgoing ADB President Masatsugo Asakawa, President Marcos Jr. expressed his gratitude for the role of the ADB in the advancement of the government's programs. He pointed out the help of ADB in the country during the surge of COVID-19 pandemic, wherein he emphasized that if we didn't have the support of Asakawa, the situation of the country would have been very difficult. President Marcos Jr. also said he aims to strengthen the partnership. Asakawa was awarded the Order of Sikatuna by the President in recognition to his support and service to improve the partnership of the Philippines and ADB. Asakawa served as President of ADB for 5 years, and his tenure will end on February 23.
In other news, lost somehow in the territorial tussle between the country and China and the West Philippine Sea is the hundreds of years of Chinese cultural integration into the Filipino way of life and the Filipino-Chinese communities that have mushroomed and flourished all over the country as a result of intermarriage and assimilation. Our Bien Manalo hashes over these unbreakable ties that bind us and supersede whatever existing differences or problems come between the two countries.
Despite the ongoing issues between the Philippines and China, including the territorial disputes in certain parts of the West Philippine Sea and the recent arrest of a Chinese national suspected to be a spy, some groups insist that relations between the two countries remain strong. They said China's culture is still alive in the Philippines, which is engraved in the rich history of the two nations.
Hindi naman naapektuhan ng political issues yung culture. Because the cultural influences are so malalim na yan, malalim na yung pagkakaugat sa lipunan ng Pilipino.
According to the group, it is better to prioritize the promotion of peace and the growth of the country's economy instead of fighting and misunderstanding. They will also continue to participate to strengthen and deepen the relationship between the Philippines and China. And as part of this, people-to-people exchange is further strengthened. In fact, there are 4 Confucius Institutes throughout the country that offer scholarships for our countrymen who want to deepen their knowledge of the Chinese language and culture.
We hope that the stress will be on economic development, not on territorial dispute, to uplift the life of our people.
We wish we now enter an era of forever peace and prosperity for the whole of mankind.
Meanwhile, they are also preparing for the upcoming Chinese Spring Festival, which symbolizes progress and new hope. From PTV Manila, BL Manalo, Balitang Pambansa.
The Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, is currently conducting an investigation into the alleged espionage activities of a foreign national in the Philippines who is reportedly collaborating with Filipinos. The department is also ready to assist the DOJ, NBI, AFP, and other government agencies in the investigation. This statement follows the arrest of a Chinese national earlier this week who is suspected of espionage. It should be noted that authorities recovered equipment believed to have been used for espionage from military facilities.
The Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, launched the National ID Integrated System with Pilipinas Teleserve to make processing documents easier. With the National ID Verification System, requesting documents like birth and marriage certificates online are now available through the PSA helpline without needing to visit an office. Documents will be delivered within 3 days and can authorize someone else to receive it. The courier will check the ID and require a signature. Pilipinas Teleserve ensure the data privacy of the requestor and the document. As of December 31, 2024, 91.7 million people are registered for the national IDs.
Two ground shakers within 4 hours of each other hit southern Leyte 7:30 in the morning, and then the other at half an hour before noontime today in Zamboanga del Norte. The first quake in eastern Visayas registered intensity magnitude 5.8, while the second one in the northwest Mindanao Peninsula boasted a magnitude 5.4 intensity, as we hear more from our Rod Lagusad.
Parts of southern Leyte suffered damage after a magnitude 5.8 earthquake struck the province this morning. In photos shared by a resident from Liloan, southern Leyte, it can be seen that the road suffered cracks. Items in this store were knocked down. Cases of alcohol and soft drinks were also scattered. The inside of this house became a mess after the earthquake. According to the data from PWOX, the earthquake struck just after 7 this morning with a depth of 11 kilometers. The epicenter was recorded in the vicinity of San Francisco, southern Leyte, where intensity 6 was recorded. Intensity 5 was felt in various towns across the province, including Ubay, Bohol.
May mga buildings na crack and pati yung roads, may mga earthquake-induced landslides din. And ang gumalaw dito is an active fault west of Panaon Island. Nasa dagat. Mababaw siya, it's 11 kilometers, but imang 5.8 earthquake, hindi yan makapag-produce ng tsunami. Usually, ang tsunami natin would be around 7 and above.
As of 6 p.m., PWOX recorded 90 aftershocks, ranging from magnitude 1.5 to 2.9, but none of this were felt. Just before noon, a magnitude 5.4 earthquake struck the vicinity of Siocon, Zamboanga del Norte. PWOX initially reported a magnitude 6.1, but it was later downgraded after recalculation. Intensity 5 was recorded in Siocon, Zamboanga del Norte, Ipil, Zamboanga, Sibugay, and the city of Isabela.
43 kilometers considered as a deep earthquake yan, and ang source nito would be the Sulu Trench. When we say intensity 5, medyo malakas-lakas yan. Intensity 5 is considered as strong and generally felt by most people indoors and outdoors. And yung mga hanging objects would swing violently.
As of 6 p.m., 3 aftershocks were recorded. From PTV Manila, Rod Lagusad, Balitang Pambansa.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. assured Filipinos the services of PhilHealth will not be reduced. Instead, the government will expand the PhilHealth services and increase payments for insurance claims in 2025. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. guaranteed vulnerable sectors including seniors, the poor, and the middle class would not lose any benefits. He reassures the public PhilHealth services will improve moving forward.
At ito yung guarantee ko. Napakasimple lang ang guarantee ko. Kahit may subsidy, kahit walang subsidy, kahit anong contribution, all of these issues, hindi mababawasan ang serbisyo ng PhilHealth. Hindi mababawasan ang bayad ng PhilHealth sa insurance claim. In fact, baliktad. Padadamihin pa namin ang serbisyong ibibigay ng PhilHealth, palalakihin pa namin ang pagbayad sa insurance claims. So, I would like to just assure everybody, huwag niyong inaalala na mababawasan ang serbisyo kahit na kanino, para sa senior, para sa mga hirap, para sa middle class. Walang mababawasan kahit isang kusing. Quite the opposite. Dadagdagan natin yan in 2025, mas dadami pa ang magiging serbisyo na ibinibigay ng PhilHealth, mas lalaki pa ang magiging payment na ibibigay sa insurance claim. Kaya huwag po kayong mag-aalala, walang mawawala sa serbisyo ng PhilHealth. Mas pinapaganda pa nga namin ang pagpatakbo ng PhilHealth para mas marami pang maibibigay sa taong bayan.
Coming right up, authorities apprehend a suspect reportedly involved in a modus known as rentangay.
Meanwhile, an encounter between government troops and an armed group believed to be members of the MILF erupts. That's what's next when we return. Stay tuned.
That's my bad.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Roberto Del Penado Sarmiento, taga-President Quirino Sultan Kudarat. 14 years old pa lang po ako noong nagsimula akong tumulong sa aking mga magulang sa farm. Noong 23 years old po ako, kami na talaga ng mga kapatid ko ang naging tenant ni Urbano Patricio. Dahil hindi na makayanan ng tatay ko na magsaka. Pinuntahan kami ng DAR dahil sa intensyon ni Urbano na ibinta sa gobyerno ang kanyang lupa sa pamamagitan ng DOS. Tapos kami ang nakita na aktual na nagsasaka, kaya kami ang nailagay sa kluwa. At noong taong 2000, lumabas na ang aming titulo na collective kluwa. Noong mayroon ng split project, pinuntahan kami ng DAR noong 2022 para ma-individual ang collective na titulo na inisyu sa amin. At noong 2024, naipalabas na ang aming individual na titulo. Maraming salamat po kay President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., kay Secretary Conrado Estrella III. Makakaasa po kayong hindi ko po ito sasayangin.
Abangan sa Bagong Pilipinas Ngayon. Mga programa sa ilalim ng kagawaran ng edukasyon, ibabahagi ni Secretary Sani Angara. Bagong Pilipinas Ngayon, kasama si Weng Hidalgo at Joey Villarama. Dito lang sa inyong pambansang TV.
The island province of Sulu has been allegedly to be the most perilous hotbed of terrorism and insurgency down south. Another island province in the south is chipping away at Sulu's top notoriety status given its string of ambushes and attacks by secessionist forces and splinter groups of the MILF and the MNLF on any given day. Our Patrick De Jesus has the latest covertly armed attack on the military forces stationed in the province in this report.
It was around 4 p.m. on Wednesday when an armed group, reported the members of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, attacked the troops of the 32nd Infantry Battalion in the town of Sumisip, Basilan. The soldiers were on their way to Barangay Lower Kabengbeng to provide security for an activity of the United Nations Development Program. The military truck they rode was also set on fire. 2 were killed, while 12 were wounded on the side of our troops. 2 were also killed from the enemy's side. There were no reported injuries among the UNDP personnel. The AFP has intensified efforts to hunt down those involved in the ambush.
We condole doon sa families ng ating fallen heroes, and rest assured that the Philippine Army will ensure yung prompt support natin doon sa mga namatay And sa kasalukuyan, yung mga wounded natin ay inaasikaso as part of our firm resolve to sustain this hard-earned peace and progress in Basilan. We are working closely with the local government units and other law enforcement agencies to ensure na itong mga perpetrators na ito ay will be put to the folds of the law and justice will be served doon sa ating fallen heroes.
AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Browner Jr. visited Basilan to assess the situation following the incident. 101st Infantry Brigade Commander Brigadier General Alvin Luzon also urged the Moro Islamic Liberation Front leadership to take immediate action against their members involved in the attack. The Office of the Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation and Unity Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. also condemned the attack, saying the group aims to disrupt the peace status the people of Basilan enjoy. Galvez added that the MILF should investigate the incident and hold those involved accountable. According to the provincial government of Basilan, the incident is isolated but may serve as a wake-up call.
Hindi naman araw-araw kagaya dati na itong nangyari na ito. In fact, yung nangyari with MI, ang last is November, more than a year na bago ulit na nangyari na ganito. Tapos merong mga ilan, siguro isang parang wake-up call sa ating lahat. Talagang patay, yung sensitive, yung vulnerability andon pa. Pero hindi ito reason para dapat itigil yung mga initiative sa ground. The more na dapat talaga aggressively i-intensify yung development.
Despite the attack, the United Nations representative in the Philippines assured that peace-building efforts in the Bangsamoro region will continue. The UN also emphasized that all their missions are conducted in coordination with authorities, noting this was the first incident since the implementation of the peace process. From the People's Television Network, Patrick De Jesus, Balitang Pambansa.
On the other news, several lawmakers felt dismay as the Chinese board chairman and Chinese directors of the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, or NGCP, as well as their billionaire Filipino-Chinese partners were no-show in today's hearing of the House Committee on Legislative Franchises. Earlier today, the House panel continued its motu proprio inquiry on the performance and alleged violations of the NGCP. Among the officials absent were NGCP Chair Zhou Guangchao and Vice Chairman Henry C. Jr. and businessman Robert Koyuito Jr. Other Chinese nationals in the NGCP board, namely Yao Yusheng, Wang Lijin, and Liu Xinhua, were nowhere to be found in today's inquiry. Although they sent letters explaining their absences, several lawmakers insist they should face the panel next hearing. Other issues like the alleged red button in China, which allegedly can remotely control the power supply in the country, was also discussed earlier.
Lagi natin pinag-usapan about the Chinese na may one push, may button sa China na once na pinindot yun, magba-brown out. So I would like to ask NGCP, totoo ba yun na may one button na basta't pinrest mo, black out ang buong Pilipinas? Maraming nanonood sa atin kasi natatakot sila rito.
I confirm that there is no push button anywhere that can block out the whole grid of the Philippines. Mr. Chair, all our low dispatch center and engineers in our facilities are all Filipinos.
NGCP is a Filipino corporation and we run the company as Filipinos. We bought the transmission business from the government in 2007 in an open public bidding at the cost of almost $4 billion. We did this in good faith and in accordance with the PIRA law passed by Congress.
Transport news, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, rejected a proposal to raise jeepney fares to 17 pesos, citing it as too high. Meanwhile, in the House passed a bill to improve policies for tricycle drivers, requiring local governments to implement a welfare framework. The LTO apprehended 262 trucks for safety violations during late night and early morning operations. In Taguig, police seized 4.8 million pesos worth of shabu from a known drug dealer. Meanwhile, the DNR launched the National Plastic Action Partnership, or NPAP, to tackle plastic waste and promote the Extended Producer Responsibility Act of 2022.
It's the end of the line for a notorious auto thief who victimizes car owners via a rental car ripoff scheme. Agents of the NCR Highway Patrol Group laid and carried out a successful dragnet operation for suspect alias Darwin at a Pasay City gas station that our Ryan Lisiges details in this report.
A man suspected to be behind several reported cases of rantangay was no longer able to put up a fight when he was cornered at a gas station on Macapagal Boulevard in Pasay City. He was immediately subdued and forced to lie face down and was handcuffed by the police. Police noticed that several men seemed to be lingering in the area, watching and waiting. The operatives immediately drew their guns on these men and ordered them to lie face down.
Maraming tao doon sa mismong area. Kaya naman yung ating mga nag-serve nitong pong ating operation, talaga naman din pong nagkaroon ng threat sa part nila. Kaya naging ganun yung sitwasyon.
Apart from the arrest warrant of which he is subject to, the suspect known as alias Darwin allegedly also victimized countless others. But his days of freedom ended when he agreed to meet a buyer he had offered a motorcycle to. An operation was immediately carried out.
Pwedeng piyasahin na po niya yan or kundi man ibenta sa ibang tao na tumatanggap din ng hindi, lalo't example po, no, kung hindi ito nakapangalan sa kanya. Gayong basta po andyan yung physical na kotse.
One of the suspect's victims, Jenny, shared her story. She said she lent the suspect her brand new car for 3,000 pesos for 2 days. However, she grew anxious when the suspect failed to return the vehicle on the agreed date.
Tiwala naman po ako. So, pinahiram ko naman po siya. Usapan namin, babalik sa akin ng November 1. Noong October 30, hanggang 31, nakakontak ko pa naman siya. Pagdating ng November 1, hindi ko na siya makontak. Tapos, marami na akong chat sa kanya. Sabi ko sa kanya, pakibalik naman kuya yung sasakyan ko.
The suspect refused to give any statement. According to the PNP-HPG, the suspect may have accomplices and could be part of a larger group involved in rantangay. From PTV Manila, Ryan Lisiges, Balitang Pambansa.
The Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, or PDEA Region 7, with their K9 unit intercepted 25 kilograms of suspected shabu at the Cebu port. The drugs were found in a vehicle driven by Edward and Ed Daloga, who traveled from Manila and Masbate. Authorities believe the drugs may have been intended for other regions. PDEA, along with local law enforcement and customs, will investigate the source and destination of the drugs and strengthen port security.
And for our weather update, northeast monsoon is affecting northern Luzon and central Luzon, while easterlies may have an effect in the rest of the country. Northeast monsoon based on Pagasa's latest weather forecast, Ilocos Region, Cagayan Valley, Cordillera Administrative Region, and Central Luzon will have partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated light rains caused by the northeast monsoon. Meanwhile, cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms will be felt in Bicol Region, Eastern Visayas, Caraga, Davao Region, Socsargen, Quezon, Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi. Metro Manila and the rest of the country will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms due to easterlies.
And that concludes our rundown of the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news and information from all across the nation. From Radyo Pilipinas, I'm Joe Fernandez.
This is your trusted news source, always ready to inform and serve the Filipino people. Catch Balitang Pambansa again tomorrow at 7 a.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. for more updates and developments. From Radyo Pilipinas, I'm Princess Habiba Saripaudak, and this is
Balitang Pambansa.